Question. P.S. If n is a non-negative integer and the remainder is 2, when 2 to the power of n is divided by 3, which of the following must be true? 1. N equals m squared for some integer m. 2. N plus 1 equals even. 3. Nth power of square root of 3 is not an integer. Solution. When we are dealing with remainder questions in general, there are two methods we can follow. The first method is the direct substitution of numbers. Direct substitution. Find the first overlapping number and add the least common multiple of the divisors to that number. We are required to find the options that must be true if n is a non-negative integer and the remainder is 2 when 2 to the power of n is divided by 3. Let us solve this question using direct substitution, as it is the easiest way in such remainder questions. So, let us take different values of n to solve the question. If n equals 0, then 2 to the power of 0 or 1 divided by 3 will give 1 as the remainder, since 1 equals 3 times 0 plus 1. If n equals 1, then 2 to the power of 1 or 2 divided by 3 will give 2 as the remainder, since 2 equals 3 times 0 plus 2. Also, if n equals 2, then 2 to the power of 2 or 4 divided by 3 will give 1 as the remainder, since 4 equals 3 times 1 plus 1. Next, if n equals 3, then 2 to the power of 3 or 8 divided by 3 will give 2 as the remainder, since 8 equals 3 times 2 plus 2. Thus, 2 to the power of n divided by 3 gives the remainder 2 when n is odd. Thus, the value of n must be odd, that is, 1, 3, 5, etc. Direct substitution is important. Now, let us check the options. Option 1. N equals m squared for some integer m. As the possible values of n are 1, 3, 5, and so on, if m equals 2, then n equals 2 squared, which equals 4, which is not odd. Thus, this option is not always true. Option 2. N plus 1 equals even. As the possible values of n are 1, 3, 5, and so on, n plus 1 will always be even. Thus, this option is always true. Option 3. Nth power of square root of 3 is not an integer, as the possible values of n is 1, 3, 5, and so on. Nth power of square root of 3 will never be an integer. This is because for nth power of square root of 3 to be an integer, n has to be even. Thus, this option is always true. Thus, only options 2 and 3 must be true, and E is the correct answer. Okay, this is an approximately early 40 level question. You should get this one right. Answer E.